Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted. Everybody around me thugging. Everybody around me drugging. Everybody around me hustling. Everybody know not to bring no new rigging around me. They say I be bugging. Got racks in the go-yard luggage. Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is another episode of Uncut with Q. I'm your host, Quentin Flores, and thank you guys so much for coming back. It's been a while. Just so everybody knows, we moved to an entirely new facility. That's why y'all haven't gotten an episode in quite some time. But we're back at it. We're fucking just now, we're settled in and we feel good. And it's been awesome, man. We have so many new things to talk about. And, I'm just super happy to bring this podcast back and bring it back, too, with someone who's been in my life for quite some time. Now, if this is your first time listening, we have a fee for the show, and it's pretty simple, all right? All I ask is that you get value from the show. If you get value from the show, that you share this with someone else. And so I'm real firm believer in word of mouth, man. We don't really pay for ads. There's no ads that run on this episode, whatsoever. And we vibe, you know what I'm saying? So if you're watching this, you already know, every single episode, you can gain something from it. We talk about health, fitness. We talk about family. We talk about relationships. We talk about God. We talk about business. We talk about different ways you can make money, real estate, investing, everything. Doesn't matter where you're at in your life. The goal of this podcast has always been growth. That is the center of what we stand for in this podcast. And so, guys, we have multiple different types of episodes. Today's episode is a long form episode, which means we're going to be here for a while. We're going to be talking about some awesome shit. So this is actually a really good friend of mine, and I've known her for a while. If you guys have been following my story for a minute, there's one part that I kind of leave out, and it's really this transitional part in my life where I was really just still trying to figure myself out. I was still selling weed. I was still fucking being stupid. I was still trying to figure out what it was that I was going to do. And when I was figuring that stuff out, I fell in love with this form of art called fire spinning. And so fire spinning was great. I used to spin glow sticks when I was a kid. So learning how to do it with Firepoi was it was next level, but it was so much fun. I fell in love with it and I started meeting a lot of people. Club owners would book me to spin fire at these places. And lo and behold, I made tons of relationships while I was doing the fire spinning thing. And it's just super cool how life comes full circle because I've been connected with this person for some time now. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. Her name is Eliane Alonzo, and she hails from Mount Wanahakalugi. I'm kidding. She's a good friend of mine. Dude, go ahead and tell the world a little bit about what you do, who you are, all of those things real quick.
Awesome. So I'm from Austin, Texas. San Antonio is actually my second home. All my dad's side of the family lives here. I'm half Hispanic and half Korean. I'm a full-time artist. I've been a full-time artist for 8 years now. And I had to really think about when we met, I guess. I'm 32 now. I'll be 33 in October. But I was 21, I think, when we met in San Antonio. And
yeah, we did. I think you were living here at the time.
I was living here, and I had no other choice. I had to get away from a toxic relationship. I just wanted to change completely, and I came back to family. And I feel like I've done that every time. When I go through something big. So I came back to family, and I wanted to do the art thing so bad. I wasn't able to then, but long story short, I ended up just seeing what it was like to vend and get out at all these events and put myself out there more.
I always loved the jewelry that you had. I still have some of your pieces. Do you know that?
Damn, that's crazy. I don't even really make jewelry anymore, but I'm starting to,
When you were, it was super cool. Because I remember you had the art pieces too, but you also had jewelry, and it was a whole thing.
Exactly.
And you also were doing face painting. You painted my face one time like a cat.
Damn, that's crazy. I've done a lot of different things. I've done body painting. I also was a go-go dancer at that time. I kind of just wanted to be some sort of an entertainer and performer and express myself in every way that I could. So, yeah.
I love your art. I've always been a huge fan, and it's super cool that you're on my podcast. You have no idea. I'm freaking honored.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you driving all the way over here to be here on my podcast.
Yeah.
As I've grown into business and stuff, it's cool seeing you grow into this. One of the things that I can tell, just from being in a production level, because we have this production studio, we've done a lot of things for a lot of artists. Most of the time, a lot of artists are very community-based, very community-driven. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to get a show off the ground or anything like that, it's a lot of people, my assistant, her name's Paloma Ramirez. She's also a model here in San Antonio, Texas, right?
Amazing.
And I love working with her. I always give her a shout out any chance I can. she's very much has her own form of art, right? Modeling is an art. And I love the way that she expresses herself to a point like this whole studio has backed what she's been able to do and has been a part of her journey. And she still gets booked for other studios, still gets booked for other photographers and videographers that want to film her, and also her being a part of different model shows. Those are not shows that one person is just putting on.
Exactly.
It's like a collaborative effort, you know, and I think that that's one of the things that I appreciate about the art thing. But, you know, have you always thought that you were going to be an artist, business owner / entrepreneur?
Yes.
Really?
Like an entrepreneur to some degree, yes.
When did you start? When did all that begin? Like, how did you even know that you were a great artist?
Okay, well, let's back up a little bit. I guess high school, I was like, fuck college. I have 2 older sisters, and they both got their degrees. One of them has their master's and bachelor's degree. They're both very talented in different ways. But one of them's a musician, one of them does art as well. But yeah, I mean, they don't use their fucking degrees. And I just knew that it wasn't for me. And plus, by the time it got to me, I'm the 3rd daughter. There was nothing left. Like, not really, you know? So I knew that I had to take it upon myself. My mother is an immigrant from Korea, South Korea, and she worked her ass off. She raised 4 kids on her own. She was a single mother, and yeah.
Do you think you get a lot of that hustle from your mom?
I do.
You guys still really close?
Yes, we're much closer than ever before.
Wow.
I used to I was a hood rat, man. I was like such a little. I
think we all were.
Yeah, I mean, I broke all the rules. I got tattooed when I was 16 or 15 for the first time.
Nice.
I hid that shit from my mom until I was like 20 years old. And yeah, I mean, she was my strength. Yeah.
What was the thing that inspired you to get into art?
I guess I've always been an artist. Oh, my father. I've said this before. My dad, he's an engineer, an environmental engineer. He was in the Air Force. He grew up in San Antonio, and his father was pretty hard on him. And so like, he was a fucking hippie, like growing up. He was into rock and roll. He got me into music. You know, he played records for us, and he was an artist. So he drew a lot.
Wow.
And so seeing his whole setup, and he was very organized. Like it was so inspiring to like be at his little desk and like be like, I want this one day for myself. And I've done that. It's crazy.
You have like a whole office art / home / studio / everything, right?
I've always had some sort of studio space, and every partner I've been with has made sure that was like carved out for me.
I think that that's so awesome, you know, and having grown into that, most people just see that as a hobby, you know.
Yeah.
Did your family do all of this artwork for money? Are you the first person that's like, we're doing this and it's a business?
Fuck yeah, yes.
Wow.
I've always been the guinea pig in a lot of aspects. I've always felt like the black sheep. But yeah, I mean, I've never been afraid to like just do it first.
I see.
Yeah.
The business part of it, give me like a breakdown. Like, how has this been lucrative for you? Have you seen amazing months in this business where it was like, damn, bills paid, we're fucking living?
Yes, and then no.
I see.
And it's so crazy. I'm looking straight over here and I'm seeing this word that says it's hard.
Yep.
And I've overcome so much already. And we can get into that here in a little bit of like what I have overcome. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like yeah, like
one of the things that I can tell you from personal experience, just learning, because like I still feel like I'm very young in business.
You are.
I can tell you from experience that this shit is a fucking roller coaster.
It is.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you're selling shoes, artwork, paintings. I don't give a fuck if you're flipping bricks, bro. This is all a hustle, and it will challenge you. It will challenge your mind. It'll challenge your faith.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The relationships that you have too. It challenges everything. You know, and so I think that's why I go to the gym a lot. You know, because the gym is like me challenging myself.
It builds resilience.
It does.
It builds discipline, and that's something that art has taught me.
Wow.
Turning it into a business, and being like, this is not a fucking hobby anymore. Like,
yeah.
This is what you do.
It's what you love too, and I think
love.
that's awesome too. You know what I'm saying? Because in all of your art pieces, and you know, Paloma's gonna pull the camera out. We're gonna add this into all of these videos of your artwork. She brought her artwork, guys, and she's so talented. You know, you can see someone's soul through what they paint on a canvas. I've always known that. You know what I'm saying? And whenever I see this, I see so much passion and love for your craft because you really pay attention to every single detail. You actually brought one of my favorite pieces, which is that one right there in the center, that
Which
flower.
One? Oh,
that's
one's
one
called
of my
Surrender.
favorites.
That piece is called Surrender, and that's something it's a life lesson I've been learning for the last year.
Go into what that painting means to you and why you chose surrender.
I guess like going back to your initial question, I kind of like paused for a moment when you asked me like what got me into art, because I've been through a lot of emotional stuff recently. And I'm also pretty fucking logical too. Like, so there's always that battle of like letting go and surrendering and trusting the process, even when you have the perfect plan.
It doesn't always go our way, too. You know, like the plans always change. When I was young in the game, in business, I remember I would go to these seminars, Elaine, and it was dope. But I got a chance to be around people with a lot of money. Something I'd never been around before. It was just kind of like new for me. Normally I'm around people that are just starting from the ground up, or they're really just comfortable with where they are. So this is my first time being in an environment where every single person had the idea that they were going to buy a rental property. You know, and I remember sitting in the middle of that seminar, not really thinking like that I even belonged there. I felt like I was unqualified.
I know that feeling.
And I carried this mask with me, like everywhere I went, and that mask became my identity, that I wasn't worthy. And I would just wear that into the rooms that I would walk into. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until I let go and I let God, and I realized that this is a place that I'm supposed to be. Because I would get discouraged by the very people that I was trying to be like. You know what I'm saying? My first dude that I ever walked into a seminar, and I told him, I remember I said, hey man, like I have been waiting to meet you, dude. Like you're the guy here. Like I'll work for you for free. You come in and you tell me what I need to do and where you want me to go, what doors I need to knock on, who I need to call. I'll do it all, man. I just want to learn. And you know what he told me? He said, dude, you can't be asking for opportunities like that dressed like this. And he pointed at my suits, and my suits were loose because I bought them from Goodwill. And he said, and holes in your ears, dude? Come on, take that out, dude. What are you doing? And he's like, look, I'm not trying to devalue you or degrade you. I'm just trying to give you advice. That's what he told me. But he has no idea. But when I walked out of that seminar, I got into my car, which was a shitty ass Ford Focus that my sister sold me for $900. It had 160,000 miles on it. It was driving on 2 spares because I was living from what we call brick to brick. I don't know if y'all know what that is in the drug dealer world. It basically means that 1 pound of weed pays my bills, and then I sell the pound of weed, and then I use the second pound to pay my bills again.
I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Brick for brick, going into that. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember getting into my car, and I fucking just started crying because I felt like I wasn't worthy, you know? And so I instead of using that and allowing it to keep me in the same place, man, there was something that sparked in me. You know, I went home and I cried into my then girlfriend's titties, literally. Sometimes a man got to cry into some boobies and he'll never know, you know? And I just remember I woke up and I said, this ain't ever going to be you again. You ain't ever going to feel this way again. You're going to fucking make it. Fuck all of these people. And I just went out there and I did it. And then a couple of months later, I closed my first real estate deal. I made $2,100.
Let's fucking
But it
go.
made it real for me, you know? And that's when I realized that sometimes, man, like even being in those rooms, dude, if you're walking around with that mask, sometimes you could just feel like you're not worthy. That is an identity. That is an identity. That's you believing that what's happening to you right now in this current circumstance, in this moment, it's too good to be true. You know what I'm saying? It isn't real. I'm telling you guys right now, if God puts an opportunity in front of you, you grab that shit by the horns and you trust the Lord and you run in that direction. Because God does not make mistakes. The universe does not make mistakes. Yahweh does not make mistakes. And so when we think about these things and you put them into perspective, that's what that just reminded me of. The idea of surrender. And that's what I just got from your fucking painting right now.
Thank you. You know, one of the first times that we spoke, more recently, like it was like 5 or 6 months ago when you called me, because I really wanted to just talk, I think.
Yeah.
I needed to talk to somebody that was doing more of what I wanted to do. You're inspiring.
Oh, thank you. I try to be. I'm somewhat of a fucking dork sometimes.
Yeah, we all are. I resonate with dorks, you know? So the day before, I made $7,000 in 2 days Like one day I made $1,000. The next day I made like $6,000 off of some pieces that I thought it was a scam. And it was somebody that had been following my journey for years, and we worked together back at HEB like 10 years prior.
What?
And so this was like in March this year. And then, you know, I was doing really good then, and then it kind of fell off, and then I was doing good again, and like, yeah, there's that roller coaster that you learn to fucking ride.
Dude, I know artists that literally go years not making any money, and you're telling me that you cleared 7 Gs to doing art.
But it was art that was old. It was like older art. And so those things that you build, that you create, you don't know how long it's going to take until things pay off.
Yep.
So you have to be consistent.
It's true. There's this book that I read that I would recommend to you, because I know that you're on that journey and you're wanting to take your art to the next level. That's why you're on this podcast. Not only because you're my friend, but also because you also want to do more.
Yes.
Like most people who sit in your chair, they want more for themselves. I'm just being honest.
I love,
you know?
I feel that. I feel the heat.
And I'm glad that you're here, truthfully. And you're my friend.
Thank
so I
you.
got your fucking back. You have no idea, you know?
Let's go.
And so like with all of the things that like I've learned, a lot of them have come from just me really diving into books. And mind you, like, I'm not a reader. So if I ever recommend a book to anybody that's watching this, go and buy the book, dude, because a guy who hates to read is telling you this.
Yeah, I trust you.
It was called Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yes.
And there's this story that I love inside of that book. But it was about a man who put it all on the line. He sold everything that he had and he bought a mining machine. And this was during like the California gold rush of like, I'm not sure what year, but I just remember that it's this like industrial age times. We're talking early 1900s here, right? And he decided to just take his wife and kids. They bought a house near the place where people were mining for gold. He went into a cave and he just started mining.
Yeah.
5 years passed and they barely made enough money from that mine to pay for their bills. And they were struggling.
Yeah.
They were struggling. And so, you know, he said to hell with it. One day he stopped digging and he's like, this is as far as we go. And he took that machine, cut his losses, and sold it to a junker. And the junker asked him, he said, what are you doing? He said, this is just too far gone, man. We've been here for 5 years and we haven't made much, but enough to keep this machine moving and to keep our bills paid. And we're not happy, so we're going back home. And he gave up. He gave up on the very thing that he had moved there to do, that chance that he took. 5 years. And so the junker said, well, all right, gives him the money for the machine, takes the machine, and he goes down the road where homeboy was digging with that machine and just says, for the hell of it, I'm going to turn it on. See how far he got. And he starts digging. 3 feet from where that last guy had stopped digging for gold, the junker struck gold.
Of course.
That dude was 3 feet away from making a fortune. And that junker ended up making like probably over a few $1 million.
Isn't that always how it is, though? Like the minute you're about to give up, all of it just shows up.
Literally, it
every
happens
time.
in the craziest ways. You know why? Is because we give ourselves an option. Every single time that you give yourself no option, look at how you operate.
Yeah.
Now imagine being in that mindset all of the time.
Yeah.
Most people's goals don't ever come to fruition because they stop going after it with the same level of tenacity that they began the dream with.
Yeah.
And when you lose that dream, that's why your momentum falls. And so, like, truthfully, 4.5 fucking years is what it took me to lose 200 pounds and get to a point where I feel great about myself. Now, again, I'm still a work in progress. I know that I still have a long way to go. That mindset humbles me into not stopping.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the gym every single day, even on days where I eat like shit, even on days where I don't feel like going, and I just go back at it again and again and again, because I'll be damned if I'm that dude that stops 3 feet from gold. It takes probably a year for someone to see a difference in themselves, 2 years for other people to see it, 4 years, and it becomes noticeable to the entire world, and everybody's inspired. And so, like, you know, I posted a quote from the book, Think and Grow Rich, yesterday. It says, first, don't just tell the world what you intend to do, show it.
Yeah.
And so that was like a big deal for me. You know what I'm saying? And I see you in your art documenting your journey, and you're also making a lot of videos, you know?
I just started making videos because I'm like just now getting comfortable being, I'm not even comfortable in front of the camera, but I'm like, just fucking do it. What are you scared
Look at you,
of?
you're in front of a camera right now.
I mean, like,
in
why
front of
not?
a few thousand
Like,
people, you know that?
Why not? You know, what do I have to lose? The worst has already happened to me. And I'm being honest, like, Yeah, my brother passed away in 2020.
Wow.
And that was 4 years ago. And that was from an overdose. 4 years is what it took me to deal with grief. And I feel like I just recently kind of overcame it.
Wow.
And of course, I'm going to continue to grieve my brother, but it's going to be more from a place of honoring him.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, he's my younger brother, and we were in the same, music scene. We were in a lot of the same communities. A lot of them had drugs involved, a lot of partying, a lot of just. I dealt with it myself.
Yeah.
I dealt with addiction myself, and it was my connection to my brother, like heavily after he passed away. So that was something I had to battle with, and now I'm sober, and now I'm able to have this clarity where I'm like, what are you scared of? Like, just fuck, it's a camera, who cares? Why, like, there's nothing else. I don't have a boyfriend, I don't have a dog, I don't have anything. I've got like no distractions, I live alone, and I made this, like, it's not that it's lonely. I feel like I'm stepping into my sovereignty right now, and I can own up to my shit. And so that's where I'm at right now.
Man,
I've overcome so fucking much. It's crazy.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's crazy. Yeah, I've lost a lot of people growing up too. I know exactly how grief feels.
It felt like it was one person after another. Like after my brother passed, it was like, wow, like, why am I still participating in this? Mm-hmm. Like, something needs to change.
Walking around with all of that weight, I can't believe how much you've been able to accomplish with all of that on you. You're one strong fucking chick, dude.
I feel like it. But that's my mom. Because one day I cried, like about 2 years ago, and I was like, I didn't care to live. It's not that I was suicidal. I just didn't have the energy. I just had no motivation. I was like, I'm trying this art thing, but I don't really care. I was, partying, and like, I was like, I was drinking and whatever. And, I called my mom, and I started bawling to her, and I was like, I don't want to keep living. I don't know what to do with my life anymore. And I was working on this gigantic mural, and I was like fucking it up, and I was like I was out in the public, I was trying, but I was going through this addiction at the same time, and I was dealing with all of these fears, and just, I kept still trying to put myself out there, but I was a fucking hot mess out in the public. And so I was like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to live. Like, she's like, if you don't want to live, then you're gonna kill me, because like, yeah. I mean, she said it in her like Asian accent, and it like really made me cry even more. And I was like, I don't want to kill you. Like, I don't want to, like, you've sacrificed enough for us already. So that kind of made me be like, I need to stop doing what I'm doing, and maybe I'll just, I quit the mural. Like, it was too much stress on my body and on my mind. I was not in a good mental state. And I wasn't being like paid properly, and I wasn't being treated right. So I was like, fuck this, fuck you. I was angry at everything.
Know your worth.
Yeah. So
what
that
do you
was
feel
like a turning
like?
point.
Was
for
that
me.
like the turning point? That moment right there, the turning point into being like, this is who we're gonna be? Because how long have you been sober now?
That wasn't when I stopped being sober, but I was like, I need to stop doing this as much. And then, well, now I guess from all the, I guess I don't know, I'm like, what can I say on here?
Anything you like.
Yeah, ketamine was one of the biggest things. A lot of people use that for, it's a dissociative, people use it in therapy.
I see.
But it can be abused, and I heavily abused that. Whatever I can get my hands on. I didn't do anything. A lot of weed, drinking, cocaine sometimes.
Alcohol is the worst.
Alcohol. Yeah, alcohol is a fucking demon.
It is.
And I was just around the wrong people, and I just did whatever everyone else was doing, just because I just wanted to have people that I thought cared about me. And now that I've let a lot of those people go and out of my life, I feel like I like who I am by myself.
How was that disassociation? You know, kind of go into how that feels. Because if there's one thing I can tell you, I felt like the odd one out not being the drinker with all my friends anymore.
Yeah.
It sucked because I was, you know, one of the lives of the party, in my opinion. If I was ever at your crib and you were ever drinking with me, I can tell you I was a damn good time, right?
Yeah.
Now, I was also a violent drunk, but not in a way where I'd beat the shit out of people I loved, but I was very protective.
Yeah.
You know, so like if I saw a girl getting treated wrong in a certain type of way, after years of watching my father pummel the crap out of my mom, it's like in my head to intervene even when it's not my business, you know? And so like, if I see something like that, it's a triggering thing, even in the slightest, where it could have been a joke, where like a guy had pushed his girlfriend and I just saw that and I just... something in me would wake up and I would just do everything I could. Because when I was a kid, I wasn't strong enough to stop it. As an adult, I am now.
Yeah.
You know, so like those were things that I'd walked around with, you know? So
I do know.
It was something that was hard to disassociate myself with people that were still living that, but also being able to connect with them without the alcohol piece. Because then you start to realize who's real and down for you versus the ones that just want to get fucked up with you, you know?
Yeah.
I want to know how you experienced that.
Yeah, I guess I had to take a breather because I always felt like I had to show up to the party, also like the life of the party, and just like be so fucking extra. Just like, hey guys, what's up? I'm here. Let's fucking rage. Like literally, that was my energy all the fucking time.
I can't even imagine.
I was 100 miles per hour, like every time I showed up. And like, I just was like, this, that, oh, do you want this? And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, I was booty popping on the dance floor. I mean, I can do that now and like have a good time, you know, but I thought I always had to be this high fucking energy.
Yeah.
And I always went home fucking exhausted and drained from people. Just like entertaining, being in the public eye. I used to do a lot of live painting. And I would partake in psychedelics too at festivals. So there's always music involved, and there was always some kind of fucking drug or something involved while I was doing my work. And actually, all these pieces here, once you see them, like these are all created sober, but there's still elements of it. Yeah, these are all pieces that I created in just the last 2 months.
Oh my God, that's so much work.
Every single, my goal this month in August is to do one piece a day because I want to challenge myself because I know I can do it.
Wow.
And that's like the crazy, like that hyper energy that was like,
you transferred it to this.
That all went into my fucking business. So.
Your friends that you partied with, do they support what you're doing here now?
Support in what kind of way? Either
buy your paintings, show up to your shows, or get involved. Or like they still trying to get you to drink? You ever have that happen?
No, they know where I'm at now.
That's great.
I also feel like my friends have changed. I've changed like completely different communities.
I've noticed when I shifted the alcohol thing that a lot of people stopped inviting me to places.
Of course.
And it was just kind of like more that they couldn't think that they couldn't even fathom the idea that I could be in the environment. And you know, it's crazy. Like I've been single now for over a year, and it's been something that's been a learning experience for me because I've been with the same person for so long, right? And so having dated, I've noticed that that's also been weird for girls that I've dated. You know, they're like, oh, you don't drink. That's kind of like a thing that I like to do. And what, you don't know how to handle your alcohol? And I had one girl literally try to buy me a drink and just tell me that my sobriety was stupid and that like she's like, look how disciplined you are. Look how much weight you've lost. You really think that you can't just have a beer? Like it's not killing anybody. What are you doing this for? And they don't understand like my devotion to it, you know, because it's bigger, you know? So like I've had to kind of laugh it off and brush it off my shoulder a little bit, things like that. And really just kind of like hone in on the reason why I started to not drink in the first place. You know, it was a big health decision that I had to make. I was fucking 426 pounds, man. I had to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life and what direction that I wanted to go. I was borderline diabetic. My cholesterol was high as hell. I had arteries that were getting clogged from the amount of intense bad eating habits that were there. So I had to make a change, but people didn't understand the change that I was trying to make. You know, it wasn't until like a couple of months in that I realized that I was just not for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because where I'm at, not a lot of people can go. And it's really hard. It's hard, especially for those that have adopted drinking as their identity and as a habit.
Exactly.
When you make drinking your identity and it's part of your way of having fun, then it's going to be there for you every single time. But I tell you what, there is nothing that consuming alcohol will ever do for you to benefit your health. And I can
agree.
stand on that shit, man. Like, a lot of people are like, well, it's good for medicinal reasons. There's certain alcohols that are inside of medicine. Absolutely. But those who just go to get drunk and take a shot and drink beer and just get fucking plastered, tell me how that's benefiting anybody that's watching this.
I come from an alcoholic family. Like,
yeah.
It's
Me
not,
too. Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, like, I guess for me, it was the disassociation part that I had troubles with, you know, and I kind of want to know what your experience has been so far going into sobriety and now taking this as a whole and this being who you are now, you know? Is this a for life thing?
I want it to be. And I
Wow.
think it will be, because now I feel like I have a responsibility. I'm starting to work on these events that are based around mental health awareness.
Oh, I love that.
Because that's what my
amazing.
brother struggled with. That's what a lot of people struggle with. That's what I struggled with.
It's a great testament to him.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm like, what else can I do? It's the community that I care about. And I'm not like a public speaker necessarily, but what am I afraid of? Like, I want to facilitate these events and be around people that, you know, a lot of people look up to me, and it was really hard for me to be like, that's okay, that's good.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. Thank you. I was going to say, you're one that I look up to as well. And I get messages every day. Like, the more that I post and the more that I put myself out there, I'm like, maybe there's something more to this artist thing. It's not necessarily about my art. The art channels through me. I'm a conduit. I'm just the artist, and I put out the things, but it's just a little blip. Like, it's the message that goes behind each piece.
Wow.
And your son said, do these have meanings? I remember he asked that. And they do, every single one of them. And they're kind of like my talismans.
What's the most meaningful painting that you have?
Right now, I guess one of the most impactful, and I notice it not just from me, but from other people that have messaged me about it, is the take the risk piece. If you look closely enough, there's these hands, and they're praying. So it says, take the risk, and I don't really write words on my paintings, but I'm like,
what
take
does
the
it mean
risk.
to you?
It means, yeah, just trusting in yourself. Same with like the surrender piece, but it was a little more like of a masculine like energy, being like, just fucking do it.
Take the leap.
Just fucking take the leap. What are you so afraid of?
Oh my God, can I give you some game while we're on the podcast?
Let's go.
Because I like speaking from the word on things like
Yes.
this, which is crazy.
Yeah, I love learning. Let's go.
A lot of the things that happened in the Bible, a lot of them true. A lot have also been misused or recreated to push an agenda. But a lot of the story of Jesus Christ was written within Gospels. And a lot of them are called parables, things that have happened in his lifetime, which have all been scientifically proven to be true. And whether or not you guys believe in God or do not believe, there is so much game that you can get from reading the Bible. Yeah. And one of the things that piece reminds me of, because this is a beautiful piece here, and take the risk is a real thing. Jesus would perform miracles, and then he'd often send his disciples out to go do things. And so he would go into the mountains sometimes to pray. And that's where he would find his connection with the God, and he'd talk to his Father. If you believe that Jesus Christ, the Son of Messiah, this is God embodied in human form, which is crazy because scientifically they've taken the blood that was left behind by Jesus Christ and tested it, and it only has the chromosomes of half of a woman, which is crazy. This is a man that was born of a woman, no father, Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ. Crazy.
Damn.
To even think that someone
That's
like
wild.
that existed, right? And so when you put this into perspective, there was a moment where he would send the disciples to cross the Red Sea, right? And they were going through this giant lake. They call it the ocean of the land. It was so huge. I mean, there was currents and waves, giant monstrous fish that lived in it, right? And so his disciples were caught in the middle of a storm. It was scary. All of them were like, what are we going to do? Why would Jesus put us in danger like this? Like, what is this supposed to be? And Jesus went off to the mountains to go pray. And so out of nowhere, they look off into the water, the rain is everywhere. The waves are so intense. They're paddling and they're not going anywhere. The waves are fighting against them in every type of way. They're scared. They think that they're going to die. You know what I'm saying? And so out of nowhere, they see right off into the distance, the shadowy figure walking up with the glow around him. And it's Jesus. Jesus is walking.
I just got fucking chills.
Jesus is walking on water. And he's walking toward them and he's yelling at them. And they're thinking like, it has to be a ghost. Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, it was actually very common for people to believe in ghosts and whatnot. And so, they look closer and they can't really tell. And he speaks. He says, "It's I, Jesus. I'm here to make sure that you guys are okay." And so Simon Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, who also denied him while he was getting crucified, during the Last Supper, Peter was like, I don't know if y'all know like how this even went down, but Jesus, before everybody walked in, he said, before all of you guys come in, I'm going to speak to all of you and I'm going to let y'all know what's about to happen. And I need y'all to be very present with me here because something bad will happen to me. And I need to also express what's going on for all of you guys. Mm-hmm. And he said, before you walk in here, you step in here with your bare feet and you wash your feet before you walk on this place because this is holy ground that you step on. And Peter was like, okay, got you. Like, he was about to go and grab all of the things that he needed. And we're talking about the Son of God here, the Messiah. And Jesus decides, he said, no, Peter, you wait outside. I'm going to grab everything I need. He grabs the bucket, grabs the towel, and the Son of God goes into servant level, sits down, and he says, I'll wash all of your feet before you come in here.
Yeah, I remember.
He washed Peter's feet, even Judas's feet. He washed Judas's feet knowing that Judas was going to betray him. He knew already. He understood what was going to happen. And so I love this story because when Peter told him, he said, Jesus, like, I do not want you to wash my feet. I will wash my own feet, bro. And Jesus was like, well, you deny getting your feet washed by the Son of God. And he's like, you can wash my hair, you can wash my body, you can wash my ass, you can wash my feet, whatever you want, Jesus, you can wash me. I'll do whatever you want, right? And one of the things that he told Peter was that when the day comes and my life is going to end, you will deny me 3 times. And as Jesus was getting dragged through the city and they were throwing shit at him, hitting him with nails and hitting him with pieces of wood and just clawing at him, throwing their shit and feces at him, everything that you can think of. Mm-hmm. The kingdom was just ravaging him, grabbing him, ripping his clothes off, everything, right? Peter said, somebody noticed that Peter was there. They said, I know you. You're one of those guys that follows Jesus. You're one of his followers. Mm-hmm. He says, I don't know him. Denied him once. I've never seen that man in my life. Denied him twice. That's not me. I'm not Peter Simon. Denied him 3 times and then looked Jesus directly in the eye as he was getting dragged away. And fucking Jesus like winked at him like, I told you, dude. Yeah. But it's okay. I knew that you were going to do that. Mm-hmm. And so this is Simon going through this again where he's denying things, right? So Simon Peter says, if you're one who's Jesus, call me and I will come to you in the middle of this giant storm that is happening. And so Simon Peter, Jesus says, if you come to me, you will be able to walk on water too. And so everybody's looking at him like, Simon, we don't know who the hell that is. That could be a ghost, dude. And he's just like, I believe that it's Jesus. I'm going to get out of this boat and I'm going to walk on this water. And so he gets out of the boat and lo and behold, his feet don't sink. He's standing on the water in the middle of a giant storm, rain, thunder in the clouds, giant fish in the water, whales swimming underneath his feet. He's scared. Yeah. And he starts walking toward Jesus. Jesus says, come to me, Peter. I'm here. And he keeps his eyes on him, right? And then he's just like walking. He's just like, the whole waves are moving. He's walking on it. He's just like, what? Everybody's tripping out at what's going on. They're like, dude, Peter got balls.
That's like a fucking psychedelic experience.
This is crazy, right? So what happens? He takes his eyes off of Jesus and he looks down. And then slowly, he starts to sink. And so he starts panicking, frantic, starts running through the storm. And every time just doom, 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 to a point where he's just like, on the water. He can't even swim. You know what I'm saying? And his mouth is right here. His head's about to go underneath. Jesus is like 2 feet away. Jesus runs to him, grabs him by his collar and pulls him back up. And he says, when I told you to keep your eyes on me during this storm, why did you look away? And he walks Peter back to the boat And he holds him, and Peter's like, don't leave me, I love you. And he's just like, Peter, 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 you still got so much to learn, and your journey's not over yet. And he goes like this with one wave of his hands, and the entire storm goes away, because he's the commander of the heavens and the sky. That is a testament. Why am I telling you this? It's because, you see, sometimes the boat that we're in is in a storm, and this is the life that we have in front of us, and it's all around us, right? It's happening, and we don't know why God brings us through these storms. But sometimes you step out on faith, and you say, I'm going to make this happen, and I'm going to have that faith because I know I can walk during this storm on it, right? And you start moving, but guess what happens when you take your eyes off of where you're going? You sink.
That's
further
exactly
and further.
What I was feeling recently. I'm like, I know I'm doing the right fucking thing. I know what I'm doing is going to pay off and make sense. But when you let that little fucking ego,
that voice
come back,
you're not worthy. You're not worth it. This is stupid. Why are you doing it?
Real ego is like that's what makes you fucking sink.
That's the enemy whispering in your ear at all times. If you believe in a God, you have to believe that there is evil. If you believe that there's good, there is always evil. And we've seen it in people. We've seen it in those that we've hung around with. We've seen it. Sometimes it's there and we don't even realize it. Other times it's a whisper. Sometimes it's as loud as a church bell. You don't know when it's going to hit you, but those voices is the enemy trying to whisper you out of whatever it is that you believe that you're capable of doing. And during that time frame, you got to keep your eyes on what it is that you're trying to do, you know? And so once you get the picture right, the outcome becomes more clear. And that's what I love about, I mean, and in my opinion, your art speaks to me because I can see the chaos in it.
Yes.
And I can also see how you've made it beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of my favorite songs is from 311. It's called Beautiful Disaster. And it's a jam, you know, and it reminds me of that. But anytime I feel like I'm going through the storm, I think about Simon Peter and I think about what Jesus was able to do for him in that moment. It's crazy because once he got into the boat and he told Peter, don't worry about this. And he waved his hand once and the whole storm stopped and the waters calmed and everything. Imagine if you guys just learned to surrender yourself for a second, like what the art piece is meaning, and to just let go of what you can't control while keeping your eyes focused on what you can, right? Some of you guys might watching this, it might not have to be this story. Like for me, it's Jesus. And I don't expect anybody here to watch this to believe. I
believe in miracles.
But I'm a firm believer that when you're focused and you keep your eyes on what it is that is most meaningful to you, that speaks to your soul, that you tend to get there without the storm. And the storm, even if it's around you, will not harm you because your eyes are on the prize. You know what I'm saying? And that's that happiness. I believe that happiness isn't just an end-all, be-all place. It's also in the pursuit of it. I find love and compassion and pursuing the idea that I could become greater than I am yesterday, becoming greater tomorrow than I am today, you know? And I see that in you, Elaine. I see that in you a lot, to be honest.
Thank
you
you.
Inspire me even on my worst days. And you have no idea what you do for people, man. And you might have a clue, but I tell you what, dude, like exactly how our energy bounces off of each other. Like I feel you through your posts and I know that you're on a mission right now.
Yeah.
And that there's something so much bigger.
Yesterday, I'm like, you're on a fucking mission.
You came here with all these paintings.
Yeah.
This is your first time being on a podcast, right?
Second, actually.
Cool,
but the
cool.
first one, it was great.
It's awesome.
I was like, just do it. And I was going through a really hard time then too. I mean, like, there's so much, I don't know. The compassion, that word compassion keeps coming up for me. And that's what I feel like Jesus really was a very compassionate person.
He lived without sin so that we could live with it. And I know that sounds crazy, but he lived perfectly so that we don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing about that.
Perfectionism.
It's insane, but it's real, you know, like the acceptance of it, surrendering to something higher than you. It's a hard thing to do. Yeah. It is. It's a challenge. I'm still working on my faith. I don't ever want to be here in front of you guys acting like I got the whole God thing figured out because that's not true, man. I'm always growing in that. And so, like, if there's anything that I messed up on, I invite all of you guys to correct me. Let me know if I didn't speak the word properly. Let me know if there's something that you can critique with me. If you don't love me, if you can't criticize me, man, You don't love me if you can't tell me where I'm lacking.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want to be around anybody that ain't telling me where I can be better, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so, like, this
Oh, I gotta say
accountability
something
factor.
real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you've said this before. That to like, I don't know the exact words, but you can say it. To not make things easier. God, don't make it easier on me.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson that has been coming to me the last few days, like especially in the last few days.
Don't make my life easier, make me better.
I understood it from a different from a really vulnerable place the other night. I was like, I actually am okay with these challenges. Like, I'm okay with what I have to face right now. And I feel like I'm kind of going through this last, like, final boss level, which is, like, my finances. And I'm like, what the fuck? That? Okay. Well, if I've already overcome addiction, grief, depression, all these other fucking things, toxic relationships, and then being alone, learning how to be alone. Oh, and then last thing is, like, waking up early. I wake up at 4 a.m. now. You also inspired that.
Let's go.
Yeah. Like, I was waking up at fucking 3 in the afternoon. Noon, like I was so not okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was like the last thing. I'm like, okay, now you have so much extra time to think things through, and now you're dealing with this one last thing. But it's also like, this is everything. The way that you do anything is how you do everything.
It's facts.
Yeah.
Like making your bed.
Like making your fucking bed. Just do it.
Yep. I think that mindset's going to get you super far, Eliane, and it's just super awesome to have you on the podcast.
Appreciate it.
What does the future look like for what it is that you're trying to do? Like, what do you see? What do you want for yourself?
What,
We'll say like a 5-year goal.
for myself,
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be materialistic. I just kind of want to know where
the
you're
first thing
at.
that came to mind was like helping other people. That's like the first thing I want to do, is like elevating other people's lives, helping them overcome a lot of their mental barriers, limiting beliefs. And yeah, I mean, I want to do more coaching and mentoring for creatives and entrepreneurs. But beyond that, for myself, I mean, I want to own some fucking land.
Nice.
And like have really cool properties that people can visit. Like, I want my own space and my own things that I can build, which is initially why I came to you with like the real estate stuff, because I wanted to learn real estate stuff in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's going to take time anyway. And I realized, like, I've got my business already. Just pour all your energy into that right now, and then with whatever money I make from this, from my business that I build, I can put that into fucking real estate whenever I want. So
100%.
yeah.
I love
that.
it, and I can't wait to see it. For the people that are watching right now, where can they follow you and be more involved with your journey?
Instagram, Facebook, my website, everything is Eliane Alonzo. So ElianeAlonzo.com. Yeah, I mean,
The one and
only. No, that's not true. There's very little, though. There's very few.
I really appreciate you being on my podcast. I wanted to
Thank
ask
you.
you for one more take for everybody that's watching this. What is one piece of advice that you can give to that person who's a starving artist, trying to get their artist business off of the ground and really trying to take their shit seriously?
The first person I would think about would be like myself as a kid. So my younger self.
What would you tell that person?
I think I would tell her, you're gonna make it. Like, you're gonna make it. Just keep fucking practicing. Keep putting your stuff out there. That's it. Be consistent. Yeah. I mean, I've got a painting called Consistent Seeds, and it's a play on words, consistencies.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being on my podcast, Eliane. Thank you so much. All right. So, guys, if y'all got value from this episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Again, you know, we're bringing all types of guests on here. If you're interested in being on the podcast, make sure you go ahead and email us. We'll throw the link to where you guys can apply to be on the podcast in the description of this video. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Let's get it.